Revealed, how an arrogant billionaire discovered hidden twins at his mansion gate, transforming everything. Jack Blanchard, the kingpin of Magnolia Heights, had it all. Mansions, cars, and parties that shook the very ground beneath his feet. He floated through life like a man walking on clouds, unbothered and self-assured. But that day, as he cruised down the sun-soaked streets in his latest sports car, his heart bobbed against his chest, a feeling he hadn't felt in years. His pulse quickened. Jack smiled at the perfect lawns and extravagant houses, but as he pulled up to his gated estate, an unsettling sight caught his eye. A scruffy blanket lay at his entrance, and beneath it, two frail figures huddled together. Zoe and Eli, tiny twins with dirt-streaked faces, looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. Their looks were filled with confusion and fear, like lost little birds without a nest. Jack's stomach turned at the sight. They couldn't possibly be at his doorstep. A disheveled note explained it all. Their mother, who worked tirelessly for him, had fallen victim to economic despair. She left them abandoned, exposed to an unforgiving world. Jack's initial repulsion quickly morphed into a battle with his privilege. Who were these kids to invade his well-ordered life? Yet, around him, his staff responded with warmth. As Jack watched, emotions stirred within him like a storm brewing. They gathered supplies, offered comfort, treating the twins like family. It was a stark contrast to Jack's polished facade, a reminder of his modest beginnings. His father, a self-made man, had been kind-hearted, despite their struggles. Jack's heart tightened. Was this his legacy? The thought was sickening. As the clock ticked on, so did Jack's unease. A local newspaper threatened to expose his indifference, a scandal that could unravel his empire. Determined to sidestep embarrassment, he made a sudden decision that shocked even himself. He would host a charity event to raise funds for the twins. He gripped the edge of the table, heart hammering as that flicker of empathy ignited within him. Was this what it took to face the world outside his bubbles? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The charity event erupted into a vibrant gathering, neighbors and journalists flooding his mansion. Zoe and Eli stood before the crowd, eyes shimmering, hearts beating louder than the music surrounding them. Everyone leaned in for a feel-good story, but instead, the twins opened up about heartbreak and love. Gasps echoed. They spoke of their mother's sacrifices, of the struggle to survive against the odds. The walls Jack built around his life quivered, challenged by the raw truth of their narrative. In that electrifying moment, Jack's mind raced. Who was he, really? A man of wealth, trapped in luxury, or was he meant to forge connections deeper than gold? As the twins stood before him, filled with hope and strength, he felt the shadows of his arrogance closing in. Would he dare to break free from entitlement? The air thickened with anticipation. It was a crossroads, and Jack was finally ready to choose. Jack stood on the stage, heat radiating from the spotlight above. The crowd was captivated, their faces a blur of expectation and support. The twins' voices hung in the air, sharp and clear, cutting through the pretense surrounding him. He watched as Zoe's small fingers intertwined with Eli's, a powerful image of unity and vulnerability. Their words echoed in Jack's mind, sparking a fierce need for change inside him. He took a deep breath, fighting to quell the tide of emotions threatening to spill over. This wasn't just a charity event, it was a chance to redefine who he was, a moment to reshape the narrative of his life. As the twins finished their heartfelt message, tears brimmed in Zoe's eyes. Jack saw a reflection of his own struggles within their small frames. These kids had faced adversity he couldn't even begin to comprehend. Yet, there they were, standing tall, inspiring hope against the backdrop of their shattered past. The applause that erupted felt hollow at first, but then it grew louder, warming him with collective encouragement. He stepped forward, grabbing the microphone, nerves intertwining with excitement. "Thank you," he began, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "Thank you all for being here tonight. You've heard their story. You've felt their pain." He paused, swallowing hard, sensing the weight of their experiences linger within the room. "I'm not here just to raise funds. I'm here to tell you that these twins are not just a cause, they're a reminder of why we must act with compassion. We have to do better for them, and for ourselves." He felt electric moments of realization sparking around him. Community didn't merely exist outside of his high walls, it belonged to the people who filled the rooms he had so carelessly constructed. As he spoke, he spotted his father's picture framed on the wall, the man who had always believed in giving back. The thought struck him, his father, being kind was not a sign of weakness but a badge of honor. Jack's heart raced, knowing he needed to break the cycle of arrogance that had clouded his judgment for so long. Just then, a whisper rippled through the audience. It was chatter about donations, numbers being thrown around excitedly, and behind it all was an energy so different from the one he had known at his extravagant parties. This was real. Genuine. As the night rolled on, Jack felt a sense of empowerment coursing through his veins. He wanted to ensure Zoe and Eli's future was brighter than the struggles they'd faced. But could he remain steadfast in this new path, even when the allure of his former life called to him? The event wound down, people lingered, their conversations vibrant with ideas, plans swirling in the air like optimism. Jack caught a glimpse of the twins again, their innocent eyes wide with a small spark of hope. "Jack!" Someone called from across the room. It was his business partner, Alex, a towering figure of practicality. "I need to speak with you. There's something you should know." Jack's heart raced with apprehension. What could it be? He could feel the walls of his new purpose trembling around him. What if the truth threatened to unravel everything he had begun to reshape? As he approached Alex, uncertainty coursed through him. Was he truly ready for the revelations that lay ahead? Whatever it was, he knew one thing for certain: there was no turning back now. The moment hovered heavy in the air. Would he face another challenge that could fracture his newfound resolve, or would this be the final push needed to redefine his legacy? The life he thought he knew. As Jack reached Alex, the crowd's chatter faded into a dull buzz, leaving only their conversation sharp and clear. Alex's brow was furrowed, a rare glimpse of seriousness lightening his chocolate-brown eyes. "Jack, you need to hear what I'm about to say. It's about the charity funds," he started, his voice low but urgent. "What about them?" Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach. 1,000 worst-case scenarios flashed through his mind. Had there been fraud? Was there a scandal brewing? "Just give me a moment. There's a problem with the donations. It's not what we expected. We might not reach our goal," Alex said, his words bringing a chill to Jack's heat of motivation. "Some major contributors have backed out." The warm feeling of unity that had initially filled the room was quickly replaced with a shroud of anxiety. Jack fought to process the information, his mind racing. He had to keep the momentum going for the twins. They deserved more than setbacks. "How much are we short?" "Enough to make a significant impact on the plans we laid out," Alex replied, running a hand through his hair, an anxious gesture that did little to ease Jack's growing concern. Jack closed his eyes for a moment, imagining the twins' faces again, Zoe's hopeful eyes flickering with dreams, Eli's steadfast bravery shining through. He couldn't let them down. He would find a way around it, or through it. What if we approach some other potential donors? People we've overlooked? Alex shook his head sadly. We've exhausted the list. There's just a very slim chance now. A heavy silence hung between them as Jack processed what Alex had said. Glances around the room revealed the tone had shifted. The vibrancy of hope was fading. Conversations became more hushed, and the smiles once shared turned into expressions of concern and confusion. Suddenly, a familiar voice broke through the stillness. "Jack!" It was Zoe, running up to him. Her small frame brightened the atmosphere momentarily, her innocence calling for attention. "Are we going to help the kids?" Jack knelt down, pulling her close. "Of course we are, Zoe. We're not giving up on anyone, especially you and Eli." Zoe's faith in him sparked a fire in his heart. He had always heard that kids had an unshakable hope. Now, he understood why. "But how?" she asked, eyes wide and trusting, believing in his promise. An idea struck him like lightning. "We can host another event, perhaps even bigger. We can reach out to the community social media, everything. We will tell everyone the twins' story. Maybe we can even include some of your friends." Zoe's face lit up, a sunlight breaking through the clouds. "That would be amazing. I can tell my friends all about us." With her words ringing in his ears, Jack stood up straight, determination flooding through him. This wasn't just a fundraiser, it was a call to action, a chance for them to rally together as a community. As he turned back to Alex, Jack's heart pounded with new resolve. "We'll set this up together. I'll take the lead, and we'll make it happen." Alex nodded, a glimmer of hope lining his face despite the earlier revelations. "Okay, let us do it." With the idea solidifying in his mind, Jack felt a spark flicker once more. It wasn't going to be easy, but it also wasn't going to be impossible. They were in this together, and he needed to believe they could uplift each other, starting now. As he walked away from Alex, Jack spotted Eli near the entrance, staring quietly at the crowd. Without hesitation, he approached the boy, feeling a sense of responsibility settle over him. "Eli, I want you to know something. We've got a plan. Together, we won't just survive, we're going to thrive." The boy looked up, the same spark of hope returning to his eyes. "Really? You mean it?" "Absolutely," Jack affirmed, his voice steady and warm. "We're going to make sure your story is heard." Just then, the lights dimmed to a soft glow, and Jack felt the energy shift again. Something was coming, something he still couldn't quite see. But deep within, he knew the journey had just begun. What lay ahead might challenge everything he was trying to build, and yet, he felt a wave of courage lift him as he faced the unknown. As the events slowly came to a quiet end, he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was on the horizon. Would they have the support they needed to forge ahead? Would the community respond when he called? As he thought of the twins, Jack knew one thing for sure: this wouldn't be the end of their story, it was only the beginning. Jack's mind raced as he stepped outside into the crisp evening air. The fading light painted the sky with warm hues, but the chill creeping into his bones seemed to echo the anxiety settling within. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him more heavily than before. With each step, he considered the enormity of the task ahead. "Bigger event, rally the community," he muttered under his breath, trying to organize the swirling chaos in his head. He needed a plan, something that would not just help Eli and Zoe, but also bring everyone together. The thought of people united for a cause fueled him, igniting that familiar fire deep in his chest. He glanced at his phone, scrolling through a list of contacts, pausing when he spotted the number of an old friend, Mia. She had once organized charity events that filled stadiums. They had lost touch, but now it seemed fate was pushing him to reach out. "Time to rekindle old connections," he whispered, dialing the number. Mia answered on the second ring. "Jack? Wow, it's been a while." Her voice radiated warmth, something he desperately needed to hear right then. "Mia, I need your help with something important. It's about the twins and a charity event we want to host." As he spoke rapidly, outlining the situation and igniting excitement in his voice, he could hear her growing enthusiasm on the other end. "Count me in." I've got some ideas that could blow this event out of the water. Jack felt hope swell within him. The idea of collaboration sparked new energy. They talked logistics, possible dates, and ideas for outreach. Mia was already buzzing with creativity, suggesting local business partnerships, makeshift social media campaigns, and even a storytelling segment featuring the twins. Each of her ideas lit another spark in Jack's chest, pushing the shadows back just a little further. Perfect. Let us meet tomorrow to iron out details. I'll gather some volunteers, 2 people who care about this, just like we do, she added, sounding more excited than he'd heard in a while. Thank you, Mia. You have no idea how much this means. Don't mention it. For the kids, right? Right. For Eli and Zoe, and all the others in need. Jack ended the call, breathing a sigh of relief. He had a team now, and that made him feel a little lighter, as if he could finally begin to shoulder the weight of the challenge ahead. Determined, he turned his attention back inside. He spotted Zoe and Eli sitting on a bench, whispering and giggling together. It filled his heart with warmth to witness their bond pure and untouched by the complexities of the adult world. Their laughter was a reminder of what mattered most. Hey, you two! What's the secret? He called out, crossing the lawn, his heart lightening with each stride. We're planning our own event. Zoe exclaimed, glimmering with excitement. What kind of event? Jack asked, feigning innocence, already sensing there was a shared determination in those small faces. A fun run. We can get all our friends to join, and we'll tell them about the twins. Eli said, his excitement infectious. Jack felt a swell of pride. That sounds amazing. You know what? We can all work together. Your event can lead up to ours. We'll show everyone what these kids have been through and how they can help. What if we did a race, and everyone who runs gets to wear a t-shirt with our story on it? Zoe suggested. You both are brilliant. Jack couldn't help but grin. This is exactly the kind of energy we need. We will make sure your voice is heard. As they talked and planned, Jack's heart surged with hope. It felt as if the pieces were finally falling into place, but a whisper of doubt lingered in the back of his mind. They had a lot to do, and time was running out. But just as the thrill of possibility filled the air, an unexpected figure appeared at the event's entrance. A tall man in an expensive suit, his demeanor radiating money and power, stood at the gates. Jack's heart sank. Who was he, and why was he here? Could this man be the answer to their problems or a new threat? Jack wondered, frozen with uncertainty. A storm was brewing, but he couldn't ignore the potential hope this stranger might bring. The tension hung in the air, and Jack felt that what came next could change everything. Would this uninvited guest bring the support they desperately needed, or would he drag them into a darker chapter of uncertainty? Jack stood still, his mind racing with questions as the man in the suit took a step closer. The crisp air buzzed with tension, and Jack could feel the energy of Eli and Zoe behind him, their youthful excitement somehow unchanged by the stranger's presence. Can I help you? Jack's voice was steady, but it was more a challenge than a greeting. The man's expression morphed from one of casual curiosity to something more businesslike, assessing Jack with a calculating gaze. My name is Alexander Pierce, he said, extending his hand, the firmness of his grip almost surprising. I've heard whispers about a charity event happening in this community. Thought I'd stop by and lend my support. Lend your support? Jack repeated, trying to mask his skepticism. What's your angle? The billionaire merely smiled, an air of confidence lingering. No angle, just a genuine interest in helping the community. I believe in giving back. And those twins Eli and Zoe, they touched my heart. We could do something incredible together. Jack wasn't sure what bothered him more, the man's blatant use of flattery or the sincerity behind his words. Part of him felt they could use a benefactor, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this could lead to complications. He glanced back to Eli and Zoe, their innocent excitement still visible, ignorant of the undercurrents swirling around them. "Okay," Jack finally said, "but I'll need to know what you're prepared to offer. This is for the community and especially for Eli and Zoe. It's not just a business opportunity." "I wouldn't dream of treating it that way," Alexander replied, the warmth in his voice surprising Jack. "I want this to be real, to help not just the twins, but the whole community. Everyone deserves a chance." Jack bit his lip, feeling a flicker of hope but wary of the consequences. If Alexander truly wanted to help, it could change everything. But who was he really? Just then, Zoe and Eli stepped forward, as if sensing the shift in energy. "Are you going to help us?" Zoe asked, her little voice steady and unwavering. Alexander kneeled to their level, his eyes softening. "Yes, I want to help. What are your ideas?" Both of the twins chimed in excitedly, bringing up their fun run and sharing their dreams to raise awareness for kids like them. Jack watched the man's demeanor transform into genuine engagement. He smiled at the twins, leaning in as if hanging on their every word. Jack's heart ached, unsure of how this billionaire could possibly fit into their plans. As Eli shared their vision of t-shirts with their story, Jack could see a flicker of determination in Alexander's eyes. Maybe that glint of passion could mean something good? Then, the conversation took a sharp turn, as Alexander revealed, "I have resources. We could build a community center, one that would provide services not only for disadvantaged families but directly for kids like you too." For a moment, Jack felt the weight of the world lift. He imagined a place filled with laughter, hope, and support. But the reality of the situation clawed back at him. Who really was this man, and what would he expect in return? A long silence stretched as the twins exchanged glances, waiting for Jack to respond. The spark of hope swelled within him, yet fear gnawed at his insides. This was too good to be true, wasn't it? "Let us meet tomorrow," Jack finally said, managing a cautious optimism. "We'll bring Mia, and we'll discuss everything more thoroughly. No promises, but let us see if your vision aligns with ours." Alexander nodded, a glimmer of approval sweeping across his face. "That works perfectly for me." As he walked away, Jack couldn't ignore the feeling of unease that settled back in. Something told him this was just the beginning of a wild ride, one that brought both light and shadows. The twins shrieked in excitement, their laughter cutting through the tension like a warm breeze. Jack forced a smile, absorbing their joy, even as uncertainty twisted in his gut. "Come on, what's next on our agenda?" he asked, ushering them back toward the warmth of home. But as he turned to leave with the twins, he caught a last glimpse of Alexander, lingering in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this man, with all his wealth and power, could either elevate their cause to new heights or tear it all down. What lay ahead felt more unpredictable than ever. Would this partnership lead to the change they dreamed of, or was it set to unravel everything they had been fighting for? The night held no answers, only shadows, and Jack's heart raced with a mix of hope and dread. Jack lay awake that night, staring up at the ceiling as the cool breeze whispered through the open window. Eli and Zoe were both asleep down the hall, their dreams likely filled with visions of community centers and fundraising fun runs. But he couldn't focus on their bright imaginations. The encounter with Alexander played on repeat in his mind, like a song on a loop that he couldn't quite switch off. With every passing minute, doubts clawed at him. Could this man really change their lives, or was he merely toying with their aspirations? Jack thought about the last community project they attempted. They had poured their hearts into it, only for it to fall flat due to lack of funds and support. He couldn't let that happen again. Those twins relied on him. This wasn't just about him anymore. As dawn broke, Jack rose from bed and decided he needed clarity. He brewed a cup of coffee, watching steam rise from the mug, which brought him a moment of solace. He needed a plan before they met with Alexander. Calling Mia was paramount. She had a knack for sniffing out motivations and intentions. With her insight, they'd be ready, whatever Alexander had in store. After a few rings, Mia picked up. "Jack. What's up? Can we meet? I need your guidance on something big." Mia hesitated, sensing his urgency. "Sure. Everything okay?" Jack sighed, heavy with the unknown. "It might be. I just met with some guy who claims he wants to help Eli and Zoe. But I need your perspective. Can you come over? Give me a few. I'll be there soon." When Mia arrived, Jack greeted her with a mix of anticipation and dread. "You're not going to believe this. I met a billionaire, Alexander Pierce." The name hung in the air between them, as if it had weight. Mia raised an eyebrow. "What's the catch?" "That's what I'm worried about," Jack confessed, pouring them both more coffee. He explained the conversation in detail, emphasizing Alexander's promise to help build a community center. "Sounds too good to be true," Mia said. She took a sip, her brow furrowed. "What's his angle? Did he seem genuine?" Jack scratched the back of his neck. "Honestly, I couldn't tell. He seemed sincere, but that could all be an act. I could feel the twins' hopes soaring and it freaked me out. What if he pulls out at the last minute? Or worse, we owe him something we can't pay back?" Mia nodded, pondering thoughtfully. "You need to set clear boundaries before you dive in. If he's really trying to help, he'll respect that. But if things start to feel off, you need to trust your gut. This isn't just about money, it's about your kids." Jack couldn't agree more. "I want them to have opportunities. I don't want to risk letting them down." As they spoke, a fresh wave of determination surged in Jack. He could find a way to balance hope and caution. "What's the game plan for the meeting?" Mia asked, snapping him back to reality. "The twins are super excited, but I want to ensure we shine through. Let's ask Alexander about his vision. See if it aligns with ours. And we need to ask tough questions: who really benefits from this?" Mia smiled, her confidence lifting Jack's spirits. "That's the spirit. Together, we'll sift through the glitz and see what really shines." Jack felt a spark of hope mixed with anxiety. They had a way forward. But as they plotted their strategy, another thought nagged at him: what if, beneath the businessman's polish, there lay something darker? Minutes turned into hours as they crafted their questions, preparing for every possible scenario. Later that day, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Jack felt a mix of excitement and dread. The evening was approaching, and so was their meeting. His heart raced. It was a crossroads of sorts, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant was about to unfold. Would this be a catalyst for positive change or the start of something far more complicated? An unexpected knock pulled him from his thoughts. He opened the door to a figure standing there, a delivery man holding an envelope marked with Alexander's name. "Delivery for Jack Reynolds," the man said, handing it over with a smile. Jack's fingers trembled as he took it. Curiosity tugged at him. What could it contain? He opened it right away, and inside was a simple card and a check made out to the charity. The words were engraved in gold, shimmering under the kitchen light. "Let's just say I'm ready to help," it read. The check was substantial, a lifeline for their dreams. But was it the kind of help they truly wanted? His breath hitched in worry. His phone vibrated with a message from Mia. "You ready for this meeting? Don't forget our plans." Suddenly, Jack felt the weight of possibilities press down harder. They needed to be prepared. Whatever lay ahead, they had to face it together, stronger and sharper than ever before. With this new twist unfolded, would they still make it work? Jack knew trouble often loomed just around the corner. But tonight, he would step forward with courage, ready to stake everything on a chance, and hope that somehow it would all work out. Jack paced the living room, the envelope clutched tightly in his hands. It felt heavy, not just because of the significant check inside, but because of the promise it held and the strings that might come with it. He could imagine the twins' faces lighting up if he shared the news, but a knot tightened in his stomach. Mia perched on the edge of the couch, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern as she watched Jack. "What is going on in that head of yours?" She prodded gently. I just keep thinking about the twins. What do they need more? Money or genuine support?" Jack replied, glancing out the window as if the answer lay hidden in the setting sun. "I want them to be happy and secure, but at what cost? What if we owe him more than just gratitude?" Mia leaned back, crossing her arms thoughtfully. "It's a risk, Jack. But you have to weigh it against what you can provide without his help. Sometimes comfort comes at a price. You just have to decide if it's worth it." Jack gave her a tight smile but felt more lost than ever. Questions swirled: could a single check truly change their lives? What if Alexander's intentions shifted after they took this money? Just then, the twins stomped inside, exuberantly chattering about a race they'd had outside. Their laughter filled the room, and for a moment, the weight on Jack's shoulders felt lighter. The joy in their voices reminded him that this wasn't just about him or even about the money, it was about Eli and Zoe, their dreams, their future. "Dad! Dad!" Zoe exclaimed, her bright eyes sparkling. "We want to show you what we've been working on. Come see." Jack couldn't resist. The twins led him to the backyard, where they had pulled together an intricate play area constructed from old wood and painted tires. Brightly colored paintings adorned the sides, and it felt like a mini Adventureland in their backyard. "Look! We're going to make it a community space," Eli said, beaming with pride. "And we'll have fun runs here, just like you told us." "Yeah. With slide races and everything," Zoe chimed in. Jack's heart swelled, and he felt an ache of hope. Their enthusiasm pushed aside his worries, just for a moment. This was something they had created, not just a dream, but a tangible piece of their vision. Mia watched from the doorway, a warm smile on her face. "See, Jack? That's what it's all about. Their joy. Their ownership of their dreams. This is only the beginning." A thought struck Jack then, like a bolt of lightning. What if this meeting with Alexander could be a way to amplify what Eli and Zoe had started? Not by simply handing over the money, but by involving them in the process, giving them a stake in their future growth. He turned back to Mia. Maybe if I can keep everything in their hands, then it can be a bridge, not just a gamble. If he sees how much this means to them, it could invite him into their world, not the other way around. Exactly. Mia's excitement matched his. "But you have to be firm. It's your family. Your kids. No one else can prioritize them like you do." Feeling a renewed sense of purpose, Jack thought of the meeting. They would come prepared with questions, strength in their voices. They wouldn't just be actors on Alexander's stage, they would be the directors of their own story. As the night wrapped around them, Jack knew the challenges looming ahead were substantial, but there was a new fire inside him. His phone buzzed again. It was another message from Mia: "Good luck tomorrow. Just remember who's in control." Jack smiled at the screen. He was ready. This could be the moment that opened doors for the twins and their dreams, or it could show him how determined he really was to protect them. With resolve building within, Jack glanced back at the walls of their backyard fortress, a symbol of resilience. No matter what Alexander brought to the table, they knew where they stood. But what unexpected twist would lie in the billionaire's answers? Would the next meeting introduce a roadblock or an opportunity he couldn't refuse? Morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, casting golden rays onto the breakfast table. Jack sat there, his coffee cooling as his mind raced ahead to the meeting. Eli and Zoe were at the table, their chatter bright and carefree, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in their father's heart. Jack glanced at them, their smiles anchoring him, reminding him of what truly mattered. Pancakes! Zoe exclaimed, her fork diving into a fluffy stack. Eli followed suit. Jack couldn't help but chuckle at how their enthusiasm transformed the mundane breakfast into a feast fit for royalty. Yet, beneath the surface, anxiety churned in Jack's stomach. "Mornin', sleepyhead," Mia called out as she entered, her hair slightly tousled. "Ready to face the billionaire?" Jack managed a smile. "I'm getting there. Though I feel more like a hamster on a wheel." Mia came over and poured herself a cup of coffee. "Don't think of it as a battle. Think of it as a negotiation for their future." "Easier said than done when I find myself across from a man who sees money as a solution to everything," he said, glancing at their twins. "I just want to make sure I don't get lured in by shiny promises." "You won tea," Mia said, her voice steady. "You know what the twins need. Trust that." Jack nodded, trying to push away the nagging doubts. He had to stay strong, stay focused. Just then, Zoe leaned over and tugged at Jack's sleeve. "Dad? Are we having a party today?" Her innocent question pulled at his heartstrings. "A party? I don't think so, sweetie." Eli jumped in. "Can we have one? Like to celebrate our park?" Jack couldn't resist their hopeful gazes. "Maybe one day soon, okay?" The twins exchanged glances, their excitement palpable. Jack felt a wave of warmth that momentarily quieted his worries. Once breakfast wrapped up, Jack wiped his hands on a towel and glanced at the clock. It was time. His grip tightened around the steering wheel as he drove towards the luxurious office building. The city's skyline loomed ahead, reminding him of the chasm between them and Alexander. Walking into the building, Jack took a deep breath. The floors gleamed, every detail screamed wealth. Employees rushed past him, their faces set with determination. Jack felt small in this world of luxury. But he didn't let that stop him. When he reached the boardroom, his heart raced. Alexander sat there, the very image of confidence, leaning back in his chair with a practiced nonchalance. "Jack," he greeted, his voice smooth as silk. "Hope I didn't keep you waiting." The tension crackled between them. Jack took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I appreciate your time, Alexander." Their eyes locked, and Jack knew he wouldn't merely negotiate a deal, he had to lay out his vision, for Eli and Zoe's sake. "Let's cut to the chase," Alexander said, folding his hands. "I want to talk about potential investments in your project." "What kind of investment?" Jack wondered. Was this just another trap cloaked in opportunity? Jack opened his mouth, prepared to speak, but paused. It was time to invite the twins into this conversation in spirit. "Before we dive in, I'd like to share something." He pulled out his phone, revealing photos of Eli and Zoe's backyard project. "This is their dream." Alexander raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Children with big ideas," he commented. Jack took a moment, feeling the surge of hope rise in him. Not just ideas, actions. They're working on this community space themselves. They want to inspire others. They represent passion and creativity, Mia cut in, nodding towards the photos. "We want to ensure anything we do aligns with that." A flicker of something crossed Alexander's face. Was it curiosity? Interests piqued, Jack pressed on. As the conversation unfolded, questions bounced back and forth. In those snippets of dialogue, Jack sensed a shift of potential alignment. But then something struck him, a glimpse of uncertainty. If Alexander was genuinely interested, how far would he go to harness the twins' ideals? Suddenly, Alexander's phone buzzed, and he looked away, a flash of tension across his features. The air thickened with unspoken implications. What was he hiding? Could this meeting turn from an opportunity into a bargaining chip to fulfill his own agenda? Jack's heart raced again. Just what was at stake here? And could he protect Eli and Zoe amid a web of wealth and power? The answers were yet to come, and they felt closer than ever, just beyond the next words exchanged. But as Jack locked eyes with Alexander again, a new fear crept in. Would he muster the strength to prevail, or would he falter in the face of a stronger will? Would he be able to safeguard those dreams they had built together? Jack felt a surge of determination, pushing aside the anxiety that threatened to overwhelm him. He had come this far, and he couldn't afford to back down now. Let's talk about your investment, Alexander. What exactly are you looking for? Alexander leaned forward slightly, his eyes glinting with interest but also with something else, something that made Jack's skin crawl. I see a lot of potential in what you're doing. A community space that inspires creativity? It's a powerful concept. Jack nodded, trying to maintain composure. It's not just about bricks and mortar. It's about building connections. Connections. Yes, very important, Alexander said, his tone almost patronizing. I like that. But tell me, how do you plan to fund this on your own? Jack felt the heat rise to his cheeks. The question hit hard, striking at the very heart of his insecurities. I have plans, he replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. I have supporters and a vision. I don't think we need you to do this right. Alexander's smile was sharp, almost predatory. But wouldn't you want to do it right the first time? With proper resources? Jack felt trapped, a pawn in a game he hadn't agreed to play. It's not just about the resources. It's about the heart behind the project. Suddenly, Alexander's posture shifted. He seemed to consider Jack's words, maybe appreciating the passion behind them. I can admire that. But remember, passion without the means to execute is just a pipe dream. The tension in the room shifted again, and Jack knew he had to push back. What's your angle, then? You seem too interested for my comfort. Don't mistake my interest for greed, Jack. Alexander leaned back, his expression cool. I see an investment opportunity not just financially, but in community image. Jack felt a stirring in his gut. And what do you gain from that, besides a shiny new reputation? Their eye contact was electric, charged. For a brief moment, Jack wondered if Alexander could see right through him, see the father desperate to protect his children's dreams, to push away the darkness that loomed just out of sight. Finally, breaking the silence, Alexander said, I'm offering you a partnership. Think of the reach you could have. We could make this community space a beacon. But at what cost? Jack shot back, aware that his pulse raced. You want to brand it with your name, don't you? Brands come and go, but true impact endures. What do you want, Jack? Alexander asked, revealing a hint of vulnerability in his voice. What's the legacy you want to leave for your twins? In that moment, the sharp edges of their conversation softened. Jack's mind flashed back to those brighter mornings with Eli and Zoe, their laughter, their unfiltered love for the world. He thought of the park they were creating, about the kids that would play there, the friendships that would bloom. I want them to grow up knowing they can touch the world, that they can create change, Jack said, his voice thick with emotion. A flicker of recognition passed through Alexander's steely demeanor. Then let us focus on that. Help me understand your vision, not just the project, but the heart behind it. It was a precarious moment. Jack wrestled with the feeling of letting his guard down. Could this collaboration genuinely align with what Eli and Zoe dreamed of? Or was it a trap waiting to snap shut? Before he could answer, Alexander's phone buzzed again, cutting through the charged silence. He quickly glanced at the screen, then, visibly shaken, stood up abruptly. I need to take this. The door clicked shut behind him, and Jack exhaled, the weight of the conversation crashing down on him. What just happened? Was this a chance or a manipulation? And what revelation awaited him on the other side of this billionaire's world? As worry poked at him, Jack pulled out his phone once more, staring at the pictures of his twins. Could he really trust Alexander? And what if this negotiation turned into something he couldn't control? The door swung open again, but it wasn't Alexander who walked in. Instead, a shadowy figure appeared in the doorway. "Jack, we need to talk about this now." His heart raced anew. Just who was this person, and what new twists would they bring into the unfolding story? Would they illuminate or complicate the already tangled mess of dreams and ambitions? Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. He turned to face the newcomer, a man who exuded intensity wrapped in a simple black suit. There was something unsettling about him, yet Jack pushed aside that instinct for the moment. "Who are you?" he demanded, standing firm. "Name S. Martin," the man replied, his voice low but commanding. "I'm here on behalf of Alexander Pierce." Jack's stomach nodded at the implication. What could this man want? "Why don't you have a seat?" he offered half-heartedly, unsure if he wanted to hear what came next. "I wouldn't bother," Martin said, shaking his head, a crisp smirk on his lips. "This won't take long." Jack felt a surge of anger. "Are you here to threaten me?" "No, Jack. I'm here to offer you some advice. Alexander isn't just a businessman, he's a power broker. You do well to remember that." Jack clenched his fists. "And why would I listen to you?" "To protect your kids' future. This partnership? It could either elevate them or expose them." Martin leaned forward, his tone sharper now. "You're stepping into a game where the stakes are much higher than you can see." Jack felt the walls closing in, a pressure building in his chest. "What do you know about my kids or what they need?" "Enough to know that Alexander doesn't operate from a place of charity. He wants something. You must tread carefully, Jack." Martin's gaze bore into him, and though he felt the intensity, Jack refused to back down. "I can't let fear dictate my choices. Eli and Zoe deserve a chance at their dreams. And they deserve a father who protects them from hidden dangers. What if this man's idea of helping is really securing a foothold in your lives instead?" Martin's words rattled him. Jack swallowed hard, balancing on the precipice of uncertainty. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, the door swung wide. Alexander returned, his expression strained, a hint of sweat glistening on his brow. "Everything all right?" he asked, eyes flicking from Jack to Martin with a hint of concern. "Just a friendly conversation," Martin replied, his smirk ever present. "You might want to be careful, Alexander. It's a messy business playing savior." "Of course," Alexander replied, his glance at Jack lingering longer than necessary. "I appreciate your concern." Jack felt their eyes locked on him, a silent agreement unfolding between them. Whatever Martin's intentions were, Jack wouldn't let himself be swayed into a trap. He had to focus on his kids, not the maneuvering of powerful men. Turning to Alexander, Jack took a step forward. "I'm ready to talk. I want to understand your intentions." Alexander's smile returned, though it seemed edged with challenge. "Good. I think we can arrive at something beneficial for both parties. Let us put your concerns to rest." Feeling a rush of clarity, Jack nodded. "Let us start with the community plans, valuable who it benefits. If this project isn't about heart, I'm not interested." "Agreed," Alexander said, a glimmer of light in his eyes, perhaps even admiration. For the next hours, they hammered out terms, Jack determined to intertwine the twins' dreams into every stipulation. Each minute spent talking and discussing possible projects brought him unease but also hope. For the first time, he saw a possibility, a way to channel Eli and Zoe's vision into something tangible, something real. As the meeting began to close, metrics were discussed, along with timelines, a promise of uplifting the community and the twins' influence in memory of what they created. The air felt thick with anticipation. "Great. I think we can truly make something beautiful here," Alexander concluded, his eyes gleaming with ambition. But just as Jack's heart began to soar, Martin interjected, "Remember, Jack. Be vigilant. Don't let yourself get lost in the glory of another's ambitions." Jack had planned on thanking them both for their time. But instead, his spine stiffened, turning to Martin. "That's my resolve. For Zoe and Eli's safety and happiness, I won't fall for glimmering promises." With those words hanging powerfully in the air, Jack stood firm, feeling the weight of his decision resting vividly on his shoulders. They would take this opportunity, he could feel the excitement blooming around the prospect, but he would keep that protective wall strong. Exiting the boardroom, Jack glanced back at Alexander, whose motivated gaze held more than just business, it held admiration, but also something darker lurking below. In that moment, Jack knew this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the love for his children would propel him through. As they stepped into the hall, he reached for his phone, eager to call Mia, to share the news. Together, they would navigate this new chapter, ready to uplift Eli and Zoe's dreams while protecting them fiercely. It was a pledge whispered between them, a family united against a world built on ambition, where he would hold fast to the light that guided him, the love of his twins and the promise they made to one another. They would rise together, and nothing would stand in their way. Jack's heart beamed, knowing he was ready to turn a corner for good. There was a thrill in the air, a sense of hope, and together, they'd soar to new heights. It was their moment to shine, their moment to change the world, and he wouldn't let anything dim that light. Now it was time to step into the unknown with courage and determination. Life awaited, calling them to chase after it together. And as the sun began to set, painting the horizon in golden hues, Jack knew one thing for sure: they were about to embark on a journey that none would soon forget, a story of resilience, hope, and boundless love. Together, they had just begun. If you've enjoyed this inspiring transformation, now is your moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, every bit counts. We want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending, what touched your heart. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this powerful transformation. Let us make sure everyone knows about this journey.